So, which is hazardous.
Knocks you out cold. You've broken glasses like that before.
I hate
Hello and welcome to episode 98 of Rockstar CMO FM. The M is for marketing and the F is for well, you decided. You're probably wondering, does the world need another effing marketing podcast? I'm your host, Ian Truscott, and this weekly podcast serves as my excuse to chat with marketing friends old and new that I've met through my marketing career, from techie to CMO, and hopefully share with you some marketing street knowledge that my guests and I have picked up along the way. Come say hello. We are Rockstar CMO on Twitter and LinkedIn, and a proud member of the Marketing Podcast Network. This episode was recorded on Friday the 21st of January 2022. I hope you've had a good week and you are well, safe and staying as sane as you feel you need to be. Right, on to my guests. I had absolutely no chance of keeping this episode to time, as I have two great, knowledgeable and entertaining guests, a fascinating topic and a marketing book to talk about. Ted Rubin and John Andrews have been wonderful supporters of Rockstar CMO since we started this as a web publication back in 2018. But if you don't know them, John Andrews is a career shopper marketer, entrepreneur and intrapreneur. He has over 20 years of experience in consumer packaged goods companies, including Hanes Brands, Newell Rubbermaid, Picturevision, Kodak Digital and Implus. He moved to the retail side in 2007, joining Walmart and building one of the first people as media platforms called Walmart 11 Moms. He is the founder of Collective Bias that was acquired by Inmar in 2016, co-founder of Carousel, and most recently served as CEO of Photify and is now working on retail marketing projects and teaching. Ted Rubin is a leading social marketing strategist, international keynote speaker, author, connector, provocateur. In March 2009, he started using and evangelizing the term return on relationship. Ted has had a fantastic marketing career with Elf Cosmetics, Open Sky, and also was at Collective Bias as Chief Social Marketing Officer. He published his first book, Return on Relationship, in January 2013, and since then he's published How to Look People in the Eye Digitally and The Age of Influence. Many people in the social media world, including me, know Ted for his enthusiastic, energetic, and undeniably personal connection to people and his no-let-up hashtag and approach to life. As you'll hear, John and Ted have come together to publish Retail Relevancy, How Brands and Retailers Will Connect with Shoppers in a Post-Physical Retail World. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Welcome to Rockstar CMO FN, Ted and John. I've got two guests, both friends of the show, or friends of Rockstar CMO from since we began. Really appreciate you guys coming on. Hello, Ted. Hello, John.
How you doing? We are friends of Ian Truscott. I have to say that I have had the pleasure of hugging Ian Truscott multiple times.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to get across the pond and make sure I get a hug.
And doing participating in Oktoberfest with Ian Truscott.
So,
if you participate
that sounds good.
If you participate in Oktoberfest, there's a lot of hugs. I've already kind of introduced you guys before we kick this off, but Ted, for people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, that's kind of easy. I've been around for way too many years to go through my entire background, but I jumped into the digital world with a company that Seth Godin started back in 1997, progressed into a company called Elf Cosmetics, which was kind of at the forefront of using social to build a consumer brand. Was fortunate enough to meet John during that period, and we connected and started doing what he was doing at Walmart and what I was doing at Elf Cosmetics. We kind of morphed together, and ever since we've been creating content together and helping retailers to sell more product and to understand the path to purchase.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks, Ted. And I love it when you tell your story. I mean, I've seen you on stage telling your story. It's excellent. And John, for folks that haven't have come across you on Rockstar CMO before, what's your story?
Sure. Yeah, I took a little non-traditional path. I kind of wasn't ready for higher education after my lower education. So I became a manager of a Domino's Pizza, and I learned how I did. And I moved to Maine, which was kind of like moving to Mars from a guy from a small town in North Carolina. And I learned how to run a business, right? I learned how to hire people, fire people. I didn't do a lot of firing people, but, manage an inventory, And what I really got fascinated was marketing. So by the time I was ready to go back to school, I went back and decided I want to be a brand manager. So been a brand person my entire career. I still love brand, and I actually think one of the questions you have is brand is the answer, right? So we'll talk about that. But I was a brand for big brands like Hanes brands. I was a brand for some startups, like a company called Picture Vision that got purchased by Kodak. And then I got the opportunity to go to work for Walmart. And while I was at Walmart, got asked to lead an emerging media team, said, awesome, what's that? That's great. And it was defined for me. This was 2008, everything beyond the banner ad. And about that time, I met Ted. Ted was CMO of Elf, and we were both experimenting with people as media, with influencers. And we learned. Same thing we're doing today. I was working with my daughter and her boyfriend last night. He asked me a question. He says, "Hey, can you teach me about NFTs?" I'm like, "I sure can." And the only reason I could do that, and it was a moment to be cool with teenagers, which how rare those are. I just because I did it. I bought some NFTs and I made some, and I'm not an expert, but that's how you do stuff, right? So anyway, that's it.
Absolutely. And both of you got this great credibility in retail. I know you've talked about retail on Rockstar CMO. When we had the web publication, I think we've been connected for 4 or 5 years, something like that. So really appreciate your insight here. And I'm really pleased to talk about the fact you published your book, Retail Relevancy, How Brands and Retailers Will Connect in a Post-Physical World, which is a fabulous title. And I know you guys have been working on it for a while. What is it that finally got this thing across the line? How'd you get it published?
COVID.
I knew the answer, really.
I got to tell you, I've written 3 other books, and truth be told, I think this is probably the best one because John wrote most of it. When you do it yourself, you work at your own schedule, you work with your editor, you do it your way. And, as I've experienced a lot with John, and why we're great business partners and friends, is that neither one of us says it has to be this way. So although I try to impress upon John, like, this is probably the easiest way to do the book, John had his own way of going about it. And, trying to work together and get all the parts we needed. And then our editor would send a list of what she needed. And I'd raise my hand for some and John would raise his hand for other. And then we'd both think the other one did something. And, finally COVID hit and there was a little more time. And John and I got on the phone. We said, we're like, if we don't finish this now, we're not going to finish it. Plus, so many of the things we were already talking about in the stuff we'd written for the book was starting to accelerate so rapidly. That not only did we have to fix some of what we already wrote, but it was really cool because instead of just writing predictions, what we were writing about was already happening. It really made the book, and wait for it, much more relevant.
Ooh. I like what you did.
I see what you did there, Ted.
So, and in fact, before I hit record, when I was doing research, and I remember us talking, we were chatting, and I remember you talking about retail relevancy, Ted, in some of the stuff we've been talking about. And I look back, and you'd been talking about this in 2018. I mean, this stuff's been brewing for a while, right? So
I remember John and my conference call with our editor in 2017. I can remember exactly. I don't remember the name of the place, but I remember like where we were. There was an upstairs and a downstairs, and John was in one place, and I was in another, and we were talking to her about it, and we made all our plans. So it's been in the works for a long time, and I think it made it a better book. Truth be told, like sometimes things get delayed, and you either miss your window or it becomes irrelevant. And I just think this really helped us. And COVID, like a lot of us, got a view into how things probably should have been before COVID with a lot of things. Obviously there's been things that have been very stressful and difficult for people. But as far as the ability to work remote, the ability for e-commerce to accelerate, for delivery, and John has really remarkable thinking about all of this stuff. So I'm going to hand off.
Yeah. Well, no. What was your experience, John? What kind of made it happen for you?
What happened in COVID is, I think 2017, 2018, 2019, retailers sort of went into this mode of, we know this is happening, but we're gonna we're going to ease into it. We've got other priorities. We're going to do stuff. And then, we've told this story a couple times. I never will forget reading an article that in March of 2020. I'm trying to remember when COVID happened because my dates are we're in this what day is it, right?
The years just fly by. Not just the days, is it? It's like 2022. Yeah. Who believes it? Yeah.
Exactly.
My last real business trip was probably 2 years ago.
Jeez.
It was right before COVID.
Yeah.
In March of 22, Walmart went from about 9% of its customers who had used OLO, online ordering or pickup, to 30%. 1 month, right? And all of a sudden, and I can remember when I was at Walmart, my boss and a colleague of his had actually presented, and this was 2008, right? They had presented the way to transform Walmart was through these awesome pickup lanes and making, and I can remember people in that meeting and it being like, but what I think happened was they started to embrace that. And luckily for them, when COVID hit, they were ready to go.
Right.
And all of a sudden, and by the way, so were its customers, right? My wife and I went to Target the other day. And when I say we went to Target's parking lot, and we pulled into one of the numbered spaces. And she pops the thing and the gate goes up and the person puts our stuff in the back and away we go, and I'm like, and I'm like, why do I want to go in that store?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I like to retail. I like retail and I like being in retail, but I don't need to go wander around a Target. I know what's in there. I got it.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be the future of the high street and the retail? I mean, that's the big topic, right? About retail relevancy. It's not just the relevancy of getting shit from their warehouse into our house, right? But it's also that leisure pursuit, which is retail. Would you think that's still going to exist in this, what you've described as post-physical world?
100%. 100%. Because, I mean, we like to go and see and touch. Ted tells a story. I'm wearing my North Face. We have a North Face store here, and it's got a little bit of product, but it's really experiential. You can go and you can see all their cool tents and all their stuff and whatever, and anything that they have. Like this product is a Summit Series. This is like a high alpine product. They don't sell this in Raleigh. I mean, who would buy it? You don't need it. I used it to climb Mount Rainier a couple months ago. And I needed it, and actually it's the warmest thing I got. And you think about that of course is going to be there. But the idea of walking around to get, toothpaste and stuff, and things that I know, I don't need to browse the toothpaste section, right?
Yeah.
I've been using Colgate Optic White for 15 since it came out. And you know what? I don't want to think about toothpaste. I'm sorry, Colgate, because it's a great toothpaste, and I love this product. But you know how often I brush my teeth, or Alexa does. That stuff should just show up, and I open my drawer, and there's toothpaste. It's like dog food. I don't want to think about dog food, and so, yes, you probably are more familiar with this than I think a lot of people in the States, but I'm sure you're familiar with the big dirt mound they built at the Marble Arch.
Yeah.
So I think people are thinking like, oh, we got to, do all this funny, I don't need a dirt mound I'm like, by the way, kudos for creativity. No. Don't build dirt mounds to entice people to come shopping on High Street. Of course, we're going to shop. It's just going to transform into much more experiential, much more dwell. I like to go to my men's clothing store here. When I go there, they hand me a glass of wine or something. I walk around, I talk, I look at stuff. I don't ever buy anything. I just go there for free wine. But but I think about it. It's relevant. So I don't know. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah.
I think, and we talk about the whole simplicity thing and convenience. I think, convenience is becoming an important thing. I think people will shop for, like John likes to say, that most supermarkets get them 90% of their business is because they're the closest supermarket to where somebody lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's always been a certain amount of convenience, except I think the convenience is going to continue to accelerate where, you know, the Amazon stores where you walk out without having to check out because it's been checked out for you as you go, where you can buy online and return in store or buy in store and have UPS or somebody pick it up at your door.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of this is going to be, like John was just mentioning, not only the experimental, but the whole evolution of the destination and the parking lots, because not only are we combining how easy it is to have retail delivered or buy online, but cars are going to start disappearing. I mean, people are going to be, it's either going to be like your Ubers and the Lyfts of the world, or it's going to be self-driving cars. It's certainly not going to be all tomorrow, but even today, and again, COVID accelerated this. Drive by those parking lots; they're not full.
No,
and that space is going to start to be reimagined. What can we do? What can we do with that space? Whether it's the regrowth. I think one of the things we're going to see is a regrowth of small businesses. Yeah. I think that all the people that wanted to have retail stores that really can deliver on that personal experience that no major chain can deliver on. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You walk into a Lowe's, you walk into Whole Foods is probably one of the best at it. Yeah. But Lowe's, like, not only can you not get that experience from them, but they don't have the knowledge. Whereas a small retailer who before could not afford the retail space, because we all know how expensive all this space got. But if the JCPenney's and the Macy's and the Sears and the Kmart's and all these other large retailers of the world disappear, there's going to be this massive amount of space available. And then same thing with the parking lot. So I think you're going to see a lot more smaller retailers, a lot more of these pop-up locations, whether it's like flea markets or it's, Sunday farmers markets in your neighborhood. And I think a lot of that face-to-face shopping is going to move to there.
Yeah. And do you think one of the things is that people aren't traveling to cities, not just not traveling to those big out of town boxes, big box stores, but they're not traveling to cities anymore. Do you think this is going to revitalize like our local high streets? I mean, I know that that's more of a concept probably for the UK than it is in some parts of the US, but do you think that's going to revitalize what you're saying about having small specialist stores that are local to us because we're not going to be traveling quite so much?
Okay, so you're talking about the issue of travel because of pandemic, or
well, just generally, like we don't have to go into. I mean, like say, I know you guys. I mean, you're in Florida, Ted. John, you're in one of the Carolinas.
North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina.
Sorry.
They're all the same.
Whereas, people have been, so like when I was living over there, my office was in New York. I was living in Connecticut. I traveled down every day on the train. And there was a bunch of retail I'd interact with in New York because I traveled down on the train. But nowadays, people aren't doing that quite so much.
You're talking about like commuting type travel, like your daily travel. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about like travel to destination travel. Yes, I think a lot of that is going to change too. I mean, I don't think New York City is ever going to have the same foot traffic it had at one time. Although from what I know of New York City before COVID, and probably London is similar, is a lot of that retail space became so expensive, it moved to the high-end retailers who I think those people still want to go into a store. Yeah. Or if you're buying a $20,000 watch, a $30,000 coat, a $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 suit, I think there's a little bit more of that desire until we get a lot better at pickup, delivery, sending someone to your home to fashion something like that for you. I still believe those places will exist.
It's to John's point, isn't it, about getting the glass of wine, getting the high level of service, being shown stuff.
It's an experience.
Experiential.
Well, we went through, in my lifetime, and this is a very U.S. experience, and I don't know how this reflects it, but we hollowed out all the small towns here, going to the malls and doing these, the Walmarts and all of those things.
Yeah.
Every small town within a 50-mile radius of Raleigh now is a destination.
Right.
To your point. and they're cute, and I want to go there because they've got a little restaurant and they've got a pub, but then they have some interesting shopping. They've got an old hardware store that's now turned into hardware and vinyl records, or I don't know, whatever, right? It's cool, but it's literally the revitalization. Well, and our real estate has gotten so out of whack here that people want to go buy houses there. My wife and I were just talking about, one of we're not far from kind of starting to think about, retirement's not the right word, but our daughter's going to go to school, and then I'm probably not going to live. Raleigh is going, on this trajectory of growth right now. We have Apple's AI headquarters moving here and some other things, and it's insane. And it's going to be great for us because our house has doubled or maybe even tripled by the time we left in price. And we can what's called geo arbitrage, right? So we're going to spend some time this summer in Vermont looking at small towns. I'll sell my house, take half of the proceeds, and buy another house and bank the other as my retirement. And I'm like, this is just a factor, I think, that is leading to some of these transformational things. Plus, I can live, to your point, I can live in a small town now. And if I want Louis Vuitton, I can get Louis Vuitton. If I want, Ted, I still want, if I'm going to spend $2,000 on a jacket, I know somebody's listening to that going, you can't buy much Louis Vuitton jacket for $2,000, whatever. But I can get my entire whatever set from Amazon or Walmart or whoever, and I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, but you can you can also get your your Raleigh, what is it? The barbecue, it's vinegar-based barbecue.
I can get barbecue shipped.
You can get whatever you like, right? And you can be all the way up there in Vermont and eating the fine barbecue from down there and reliving that.
You actually just spurred a great thought. Think about that, right? So one of the things that COVID did is people got really good at other forms of retail because they had to, or they're going to go out of business, right? We have a sushi restaurant that's our local sushi restaurant. It's about a mile and a half from our house, and they wouldn't let anybody in there. But they, you pulled up, and they brought your stuff and handed it to you. Now there is no place to park there because every time we go there to eat, everybody they have half of the parking spots are pull up because everybody's like, I like sushi in my pajamas. Why not? I would literally drive there in my pajamas and not, because I knew I didn't have to get out of the car or do anything. And I'd be like, peace out, suckers. I'm good.
Well, absolutely. I mean, food delivery just accelerated as far as fine food delivery. That people are now knowing that, first of all, it's easy, it's quick, you can rely on it. I recently ordered something through one of the local delivery services, and literally within 15 minutes, I got something back from them saying, listen, we're having trouble getting through to the restaurant. We don't want to hold you up. So either we can cancel that order and reorder for you, or you can wait, but meaning that didn't exist a couple of years ago. You'd call up, you'd wait. It wouldn't come. You'd call. You'd say, "Where is it?" Oh, it's in process. Now, so many of these have refined their services to make it something that we are so much more likely to do because we enjoy it.
Well, also they've probably fixed their back office, right? Because they've had to fix their back office,
right? Of course, right. And that's a major theme of the book. Is the future of shopping is about removing friction,
right?
Right. If I want sushi. I might have not ordered sushi before because to go sushi, is it going to be okay? Is it? No, man, they package it. They've got the little absorbent pad so it doesn't get soggy and stuff. They've thought about all of the logistics that have to go around. How do I deliver my restaurant quality at my shopper's home? Right.
Yeah. And Yeah, I mean, we're gobbling through the time. I knew we would with you two, so this is excellent.
Sorry.
We're talking about the future. You talk in the book. You talk about Siri and Alexa and voice being a major part of it, which I don't think we've covered. I mean, we've covered like direct to consumer. I think we know that for consumables like your toothpaste, John, that's where that's going to go. But what role do you think voice is going to start to play in terms of changing the way that retail works, the consumer relationship?
Ted, did you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, I'd like you to
that
talk
section.
about that. John, you always have, no, and I mean that honestly, John always has a little deeper insight into this than I do.
Well, there's a wonderful woman that Ted and I both know named Emily Bender, and I highly recommend people follow her.
I've had her on the show.
Yeah,
I've had Emily on the show.
She is one of the thought leaders in voice marketing, and she has a little Alexa thing every day called Wealth Voice.
Yep.
And it talks about, so I think what's going to happen, I really believe, is AI is getting pretty smart, right? And Siri and Alexa and her friends, their friends, are listening to us pretty much constantly, unless you tell them not to, right? And everybody says, "Oh man, we were just talking about this, and I saw an ad." I'm like, "Yeah, you did," because But again, think about the friction removal of that. It's a little creepy. Except that if you make it really easy, my buddy here just bought a new home, and we were talking about a solo stove. One of those little cool kind of things you can throw wood in. You can have it on a back porch, and literally we both started getting Instagram ads like that. Right?
Wow.
And I was like, I'm fine with that. People aren't there yet, I think, but I think the ability for on the fly to be able to communicate with our devices, and Tesla. And Apple, and I think most of the car manufacturers are realizing too that cars are big interactive platforms. Especially when you don't have to drive them anymore. We're all going to be bored in there. And so let me begin to shift some of the shopper activities to those platforms, right? Either through guidance, through whatever. But we're talking to our things now. You may have those friends that dictate all of their text and stuff. My next door neighbor dictates. It dictates like paragraphs.
Right.
Dear Brenda, comma, stop. New paragraph. It's like, and he does it while you're riding in the car, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? But it is actually easier than typing. It's just one of those things you gotta start doing.
My daughter does it all the time. I mean, if she's going to Google something, she's asking Siri. She's talking to her device.
It goes to the whole friction-free thing.
Yeah.
John and I have a line. I just emailed it to you along with the PDF. It's simplicity is the new EDLP, everyday low pricing. Make it easy for them, and they'll buy from you again and again and again. Frictionless retail is a retail of the future, but I think frictionless everything. And I love that you brought up cars, because I was just driving today, and the technology isn't quite there yet, but it's really getting there, because right now a lot of what I have to do in the car, I still have to use a touch screen. And I'm driving, and that takes my attention away from what I want to be doing. And I can use Siri to make some calls, and she doesn't always quite understand me. And she's sending me to Yellowstone Park when I'm just trying to call, Joe Yellow or something. And but as that gets better, it's going to give us more time and the ability to get more done in what we consider our downtime. Like John got me into audiobooks during the pandemic, and now. Like whenever I'm outside doing sports, doing anything, I'm listening to an audiobook and learning that your brain, I've heard about this a lot, but I'm experiencing it even more now because I'm listening to so many books, that your brain absorbs stuff even when you're not totally paying attention. So, obviously there's certain things where you really have to pay attention because you really got to learn it, but there's other things where you just want to take it in. And I think that when it comes to retail, it's going to just give us the ability to get other things done. Just like the Amazon app has made it easy for us when I'm with you or John. You say, hey man, you should get this new holder for your phone. It's great. You go right there, you click on it, and you buy it. Imagine when I can just say it as I'm walking, and it really effectively gets it done for for you. And I think a lot of that's going to combine with, John and I have been working with a company called Lucid, which is you would ask me about it before when we were waiting for John on the call. Yeah. And it's a Bluetooth sunglass company or Bluetooth glasses company. But, as they're progressing, they're adding more and more tech to these phones, just like we know is going to exist. And the point is going to come where we're going to not only be able to tell our phone to order something for us, but it's going to be able to flash by us, with some of the different options that we might want, whether it's in a subscreen or it's right like the Google Glass were at one time, which was an early technology. But as all of this combines, it's just going to make everything more fluid.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, no, I love it. Anyway, the book is Retail Relevancy, How Brands and Retailers Will Connect in a Post-Physical World, which is, as I said, fabulous title. And I encourage everybody to have a look at it, especially, and I think we're all interested in retail, right? And I think we as marketers can learn from what's really happened there. But I've got a final question for both of you. As you know, and I know as friends of Rockstar CMO, we have a regular feature, the Rockstar CMO Swimming Pool, our pool to hell for where we throw all the BS snake oil and overhyped trends of this craft we love. What specifically about retail needs to be flung in the pool, needs to be gotten rid of?
Well, I'm going to talk about something that I think is overhyped, but I don't think it's overhyped in terms of it's not going to happen. I just think it's not going to happen today, but Ted just talked about part of it is going to be. So there was an article this week, you probably all saw it. Walmart's filing a bunch of patents to get into the metaverse and enter its own crypto. And I think the metaverse is it's 100% coming in. But in fact, a lot of parts of it are already here, and you use them and you don't really think about it. Yeah. But I think it's early, but I'm kind of actually happy about that, because usually, the knock on retail is they're the last people to do anything. So that Walmart's even thinking about this is a positive thing. And I think it knows that many of its customers are already spending a lot of time in the metaverse. Yeah. But I think I think when people talk about the metaverse, they're like, oh, we're going to be in these virtual blah, blah, blah. I think it's going to be closer to what Ted just described, and I think that's why Lucid is on a neat path, is you're going to have devices, and there's already contact lenses that are in experimentation that do this, that just augment your reality. Yeah. So, and maybe you even have some of your metaverse friends with you, when you're out shopping and doing stuff. So when I'm out visiting you at a pub, and Ted's back home in Florida, he's actually there with us or whatever. Those things are coming, and those are coming very quickly. And again, as somebody who's interested in that thing, I spend time learning about it. So I'm on a platform called Upland, and Upland is Upland. It's the real world in real estate. And I just built my first apartment building in Upland, right? Nice. And I'm collecting rents or money on it or whatever, and it's not there yet, but wow, you can really begin to see what happens when I like this little street in New Orleans called Frenchman Street. And I have bought properties on Frenchman Street, and I was in New Orleans several weeks ago, and I spent some time, of course my yard guys are here now, I spent some time going to look at the properties that I own in Upland, the real ones. Imagine when you connect that and it's a restaurant or a retailer or something like that's happening. So go learn it, go get into it, but don't just do hype stuff just to do it. Ted laughs that every influencer now has their own crypto token. And
I'm glad you just brought that up, John, because that's what I think is ridiculously overhyped is having your own currency. Yeah. In other words, by the way, I don't get me wrong. I mean, this whole crypto thing is happening, and there are going to be new currencies, and things are going to change, and it's going to change the whole unbanked world. But everyone's not going to have their own currencies, and nobody's going to want those currencies other than the hype factor. And like every influencer is issuing a coin. Now, part of it, I get. It's fun to experiment like John does. But too many of them are now talking about it so seriously that their coins are going to become currencies of exchange. And I think that's way overhyped. I think there will definitely be a bunch that are, and I think a lot of this is coming, but you're not going to get rich off your own personal currency. Or start trading in it actively.
I mean, that's clear. I mean, metaverse and crypto, you've hit both the hot keywords right now, right?
I will give you one good example of where that is working. And I think, Gary Vee thinks about things and he thinks about how to connect them. And I'm not a Gary Vee fanboy, but I don't dislike Gary Vee. But he connects things for people in relevant ways. And he is working on a NFT restaurant in New York. And it is very aligned with what is going on with, the badge value of NFTs matters in that community, right? So if you own a Bored Ape NFT, you're pretty cool and people have it as their avatar. This restaurant, it's a sushi restaurant in New York, is selling NFTs, and you have to own one to get in the restaurant. And they began selling at about 2.5 Ethereum, and the restaurant sold $15 million worth of NFTs out of the box. Those kind of practical applications are coming, and I applaud Gary and people thinking about that beyond of I've got an NFT or I've got a coin, But what's a practical application? Anyway, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Absolutely.
And as I winds up, so Ted, when folks spin the dial on the interwebs, where do they find you, Ted?
Oh, just everywhere. Ted Rubin wherever. Just Google Ted Rubin or go to any social platform, or at least the old school ones. You'll find me. But I actually have a TikTok account. I'm not real active there, but I certainly go there to see what's being created, and I create some content myself. I've kind of pretty much abandoned Snapchat just because there's only so many hours in a day of where you can be checking things, and I kind of shifted over to the TikTok thing. Except, like all other good social multiple application folks, I do post my TikToks to automatically to Snapchat because why not? But just Ted Rubin. You can also call me. I actually answer my phone, 516-270-5511. Or if you want to get somewhere where you're sure I'll follow up, just email me at tedrubin@gmail.com.
Cool. Thank you, Ted. And John, where can people find you?
I'm at Katahdin on about everything, Katadhin. And like Ted, I'm in the winnowing process of social channels. I have at least taken an extended pause from Facebook. And as Ted said, there's so many hours in the day, can't do all the things, right? And it just, I want to focus where I get value.
Excellent. And I presume the book, and I'll say the title again, Retail Relevancy, How Brands and Retailers Will Connect in a Post-Physical World, is available on all good bookshops and some bad ones too, right? They can find that pretty easy.
Just go to Amazon.
All right, Wes. Well, thank you very much for your time. We've run over wildly, but I hope everybody enjoys our conversation. Always a pleasure to catch up with you, Ted and John. I look forward to speaking to you very soon. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.